Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel. Jim Reads Too Slow. I'm Jim, and June is here, and I have there's just a lot, well, several projects that I'm working on, reading projects. So I figured I needed to get on and just kind of um, go through my TBR for the month, as much to straighten out what I'm doing in my own mind as to kind of let you know what I'm up to. So I'll start out with June on the Range. It's uh, it's a read along that I'm following along with. A month of reading westerns, short westerns, long westerns, whatever, created by Michael K. Vaughan. And I'm really having a great time with this. I started out reading Valdez is Coming by Elmore Leonard, and I really enjoyed this book. Short, it was a quick read for me. Like I say, I really liked it. So as the story opens up, a man and his wife are cornered in this cabin um, out in the country. And the man is believed to have murdered the husband of a woman who is under the protection of the local rich guy slash bad guy, who he started this whole thing by saying that this guy, identifying this guy who's holed up in the cabin at this point, identifying him as the person who's wanted for the murder of this woman's husband, who he's caring for. Now, this has turned into, by the time the book starts, it has turned into this. It's a carnival atmosphere. The townsfolk are all gathered around, um, watching this event take place, or taking part in it by taking pot shots at the cabin with their rifles. There's even a bar set up. It's just like festivities. Well, of course, the man in the cabin is innocent. But we don't find that out before the title character, Bob Valdez, who's a part-time constable, um, goes up to the cabin to try to talk this guy into coming out and getting all this stuff settled. But he's forced to kill the man in self-defense, and that kind of sets everything into motion. Um, Valdez just wants some kind of justice for this man's widow. She no longer has a man to take care of her. She's pregnant. So let's just give her a few $100s. A modest, modest proposal. Sure, he's the one who killed him, but none of this would have happened. The whole situation wouldn't even have started if the local rich guy slash bad guy, Mr. Tanner, hadn't said that's the one who's wanted. So Valdez ends up going to see Mr. Tanner, who, in typical arch villain fashion, has him roughed up and sent on his way. Well, Bob thinks maybe he just didn't express himself well enough, so he goes back and tries again. And this time it's even worse. He's beaten down. He's tied to a cross. His horse is stolen, and he's told, be on your way. Well, shortly after this, Bob, who, as far as anyone knows, any one of the locals know, is one of the good Mexicans. He turns back into Roberto Valdez, who is a former Army scout who has helped to decimate the Apache population. And his mission to get justice for this widow, it becomes a mission of revenge, as well as getting justice for the widow. So, two thumbs up for this. It's an exciting read. It is really well written. It's really tightly written. It keeps moving. Valdez is Coming by Elmore Leonard. I would definitely recommend it. So I followed that one up by reading True Grit by Charles Portis. Okay, I have to, truth be told, I have 12 pages left in this book, so I'll definitely finish it yet tonight. And this has been an amazing read. So this story, the girl's father is murdered one night in Fort Smith, Arkansas, late 1800s. And he's murdered by one of his employees, who then takes off for the Indian Territories, as the state of Oklahoma was then known. And the man's daughter, Maddie Ross, who's this precocious 14-year-old, she sets out to bring the killer to justice. She hires this broken down old drunken deputy U.S. Marshal, Rooster Cogburn, to track him down and taking him back to be tried and hung. And she talks Rooster into letting her go with him. Well, they're joined by a Texas Ranger, a man by the name of LaBeef, who is on a leave of absence from the Rangers while he tracks down this same guy, the same killer, who previously killed a state senator under a different name. He wants to go along. He wants to join Rooster, and Maddie has to convince him to let her go along. The story is narrated by a much older Maddie, and so we have the benefit of her hindsight and observations from the future. The book is beautifully written. It moves really fast. It's really funny too. I mean, I have been laughing out loud at some of the dialogue in this book. So again, unless it tanks completely in the last 12 pages, another 2 thumbs up. I really recommend this one. Now, both of these books, Valdez is Coming and True Grit, have been made into major motion pictures. The first one I watched the other night, Valdez is Coming, which was made in 1971, the year after the book was published. It's a little problematic, I must say. It stars Burt Lancaster in brownface as Valdez. And then True Grit, also a year after it was published. In 1969, it was made into a major motion picture, starring Kim Darby as Maddie, and John Wayne, Glenn Campbell, and a host of others. I saw that one years ago. And then in 2010, the Coen brothers remade the movie, starring Haley Steinfeld as Maddie, along with Jeff Bridges, Matt Damon, and again, a host of others. And I intend to watch that again, hopefully here in the next few days. So that's what I've read so far. These books are really moving by. I'm really having a good time. Like I said, really enjoying myself, reading them pretty quickly. Next, I intend to go into Riders of the Purple Sage by Zane Grey. This is a nice Penguin Classic edition of that book. If you got a book like this, you got to read it. So I'm going to be going into this next. And then if all goes well, I'll either follow up with a shorter novel or one of these. I've got Oakley Hall's Warlock. Now this would be a reread. I remember it fondly from the first time I read it, so I could go into this one, or A.B. Guthrie Jr.'s The Big Sky. I kind of depends on how I'm feeling when I finish Riders of the Purple Sage. So that's where I'm at with June on the Range. Okay, so I'm also in the Book of the New Sun read along. I finished the first book in this Gene Wolfe masterpiece. Here's the edition that I'm reading. Shadow of the Torture is the first. This has the first two books, and then there's another volume with the next two. I finished Shadow of the Torture, and I've started on the second one, The Claw of the Conciliator. Yeah, and I'm heading into chapter 11 of that book. It's a very dense read. I have to say, there's a lot going on in this story. I'm enjoying it though, so it's something that keeps you on your toes. But it's a great story too. So I have finished Robert Jordan's The Eye of the World. So this read along, the Book of the New Sun read along, is going to put that Wheel of Time reading on hold for now. But I really enjoyed that first book, so I will be getting back to that series. Okay, next, The Summer of Snopes. I'm going to be following along with that one. This year's expanded 3-month-long version of Faulkner in August. So I'm reading William Faulkner's The Hamlet. I'm still in part 1, the phlegm section, and I have to tell you that having read Faulkner's short story Barn Burning was a really good move on my part. It provides some background to this first section. So the Hamlet, just got started on that. Finally, the members of my family book club appear to want to continue reading. So after we finished Dashiell Hammett's The Maltese Falcon, a book that we really enjoyed and that I highly recommend also, we have gone into Slan by A.E. Van Vogt, a book that my brother selected, my brother Dan. So we'll see how that goes. So that's what I'm up to. These are my reading plans for June, and in a couple of cases for beyond June. As far as reading, things are going great. We'll see how that all manages to crash down around my ears by next week. Maybe not. So until next time, BookTube, have a good one.